Hey, everybody, it's Jade. Thank you so much for scrolling on through, for swinging on through, whatever brought you here. I am happy to have you. And Vikings fans, did you grab a tea? Possibly a scone, a crumpet? Have you been practicing your Shakespearean sonnets, pip-pips, huzzas, Big Ben, Piccadilly, all of the things? Because the Vikings, they have traveled across the ocean, and they are going to be the visiting team as they square off versus the Who Dat, the Who Cares, the New Orleans Stains, aka the New Orleans Saints, tomorrow. Vikings, Saints in London, England. Woo! Pip, pip, pip. Huzzah, huzzah. All of the things. The game is slated for an early kickoff. Yes, an early kickoff. It's going to be 8:30 Central Time. I am planning on live streaming the entire event, per usual, so swing on through. I'll be there. I'm going to be starting at about 7:30 Central Time. I'm going to be making my official prediction tomorrow at about 8 a.m. when I do planetary pregame, and that's where I look at the planets to see if I can determine who the winner of the game is going to be. So please join me. I will be giving my official prediction then. And then, like I said, the game is slated for an 8:30 a.m. Central Time kickoff. So very exciting. Possibly, like I said, you'll have your tea, maybe a scone, maybe an English breakfast. Maybe some of you are going to be having like the beans on toast, maybe a little bit of that. But very exciting. And for the Vikings, they have a little bit of opportunity here to make a little bit of history, because the Vikings, they're 2-0. When they square off in London. They went in 2013 and they beat the Steelers 34-27. And then they returned in 2017 and they had a win over the Browns 33-16. There are two other teams that are sitting at 2-0 in London, and that being the the New England Patriots and the 49ers. However, neither of those teams play in London this year. So, are the Vikings going to be kind of like the first team, minus Jacksonville? We're not really talking about them because they're like the UK team now or whatever. But the Vikings have an opportunity to go 3-0. So, extra pressure on the purple. Kevin O'Connell, are you ready? Are you ready to puppeteer Marionette, your fraternal twin, Pizza Ranch boy, over in London, England? Hip, hip, huzzah, here we go. I'm very excited for this one. I mean, of course, playing across in the UK is very exciting, and the Vikings seem to play well over there. There's probably, well, it seems anyway, that there's a lot of Vikings fans over there. I actually know a couple of people that are over there that are going to the game, so very loyal. The purple fans, very loyal. The Skull, they are true, they are. So I think there's going to be a lot of support for the Vikings there, a lot of purple, and I think there's a lot of local media over there. I saw former wide receiver for the Vikings, Chris Carter. He was over there pouring beers, so very exciting, and I hope that momentum can just carry through and help the Vikings, because both of these teams, it's an important game for both. I mean, every game is important. A fellow NFC team, so the Vikings, be ready. The Vikings are sitting at 2-1, and the Saints, the Stains, they're at 1-2. So we got a little bit of a palindrome going on right there. And if the Vikings do end up losing and the Saints win, then they're both going to be 2-2. So just looking at the numerology, that kind of sticks out to me a little bit. But let's get into the game, shall we? So for the Stains, the Who Cares, the Who Dat, Who Cares, they're pretty much without like the majority of their team. So the big thing there for the Stains is the fact that Jameis Winston, their starting quarterback, is probably not going to be playing, and Andy Dalton is going to be starting. Now, call me a little cuckoo, call me a little crazy, but between Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton, as a Vikings fan, Andy Dalton scares me a lot more. Yes, he's a backup, but he's been in the league for a long time, played with many teams, and he's had good history versus the Vikings. So, he scares me a little bit. I'm not going to lie to y'all, so that makes me a little nervous. And one thing too for the Saints that is big for them is they are also out their star wide receiver, Michael Thomas. So that bodes well for the purple, hopefully. And then Alvin Kamara, their running back, has also been kind of questionable. However, the Vikings are not without their own problems, as we know. Zadarius Smith, what's going on there? A little bit questionable, but it sounds like he'll probably be playing. Dalvin Cook, who is always injured. He cannot play an entire season healthy. And I've been saying to trade him for years, but nobody listens to me. Anyway, we'll get more into that a little bit here. But it sounds like he's going to be in. And so it seems like, too, on paper, what everybody's been like chattering about is that this game should be pretty good. But the Vikings, I don't want to say they have it in the bag, but again, on paper, from what we see, it's setting up for a purple victory. But Vikings fans, we know how that goes, right? When everything, here, you want, I'm just going to feed it, spoon feed it right to you. The bangers and mash, open up. Now, I don't want it. That's often what the Vikings do. So I am excited. I'm excited for this game, and I don't think it's probably going to be as predictable as everybody thinks. And of course, we know that, right? Because the NFL is weird. It's weird. It just is. So I went through the Vikings history, a little bit of that in London. And then the one thing that I do not want to hear any sort of excuse about, because whether you may or may not know, the Saints, they got over to the UK earlier in the week, and the Vikings, they didn't fly out until Thursday. So is that going to be a thing? The travel time, the body clock, the jet lag. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any excuses about that. I don't want to hear any excuse about the team not being ready, because you knew for months that you were going to be playing in the UK tomorrow. On the 2nd, you knew forever. So I don't want to hear any excuse about, I'm tired, or blah, blah. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. It's rubbish. It quite is. So just be prepared. Like that, what is that song? Be Prepared from Lion King, right? Anyway, be prepared. I don't want to hear that. Everybody should just be ready. And then I think for the Vikings, for their offense, please get Adam Thielen in the mix a little bit more. Again, keep going with that. KJ Osborne, we want to see him. Dalvin Cook, we'll see what's going on there. Maybe you should just stay on the bench and Alexander Mattison can get the start, because Cook has a chronic injury. Like I said, he has not been able to stay in a full season healthy since he's been in the league. It's atrocious. They should have traded him a couple years ago. And now I'm hearing more trade rumors coming up for Dalvin Cook. Oh, now. Okay. One day, I swear, people are going to listen to me. But until then, I shall be here. And another thing, too, for the New Orleans Saints. Just because they're down, all of the people, mainly, of course, Jameis Winston, Michael Thomas, and possibly Alvin Kamara, all of those things, and Jarvis Landry, I just think that just because they don't have any, they still have people on their team. They do. And possibly people that we don't have a lot of film on, per se. So that could be worrisome for Vikings fans, possibly. Are you worried? Let me know. You always do. And the Saints have a rookie wide receiver. I think his name is Chris Olive. I think that's his name. But that's going to be one to watch out for, too. Andy Dalton is probably going to be looking for him. So, Cam Dantzler, are you going to be ready? Well, maybe. Papa Peepee, Papa Patrick Peterson, are you going to be ready? The Vikings defense, the secondary, yes, it's problems. So, the Vikings defense as a whole, I've been calling them the nursing home now because they're rather old. So, the Babysitters Club, Harrison Smith, he's going to be back after having concussion. And Eric Kendricks, the Babysitters Club, so hopefully they will be ready to clean up all the messes that happened with the Vikings nursing home, that being the Vikings defense. So it's a little bit scary. And speaking of defense too, the New Orleans Saints, their defense is pretty good. And the Vikings offense, we have all of these weapons, but seemingly struggling a little bit. It's this growing pains, of course, with Kevin O'Connell being the new head coach. So this is slating up. I guess maybe that's the wrong phrase. This is brewing up here. We got a little stew going. We got like a little witch's brew. This is brewing up for what could be a quite good game, I'm hoping. I hope it's exciting. I hope it's not a blowout. And it could get a little weird. It could get a little weird. I'm nervous about just like on paper and everybody talking about how the Vikings are the favorite. That is worrisome to me. It's worrisome. So extra pressure on the purple. They kind of have put themselves in this pressure cooker. But we will see if they just open the vent and let the steam out, or if the pressure cooker explodes. All right. So I'm kind of looking back at my nerd notes here. Don't mind me. All right. I think that's the majority of my nerd notes. I'm probably missing a lot of things, but I'm very excited for the game tomorrow. Again, I'm going to be starting my live stream at about 7:30 Central Time. Planetary pregame, where I will make my official prediction between 8 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. And then 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, Central Daylight Savings Time, whatever we're in. 8:30 a.m. kickoff. So very exciting. And it's going to be, it should be fun. And then it's going to be kind of weird by noon, our time here in the States, Central Time, it'll be over. So it'll be fun, but I've been looking forward to it. So please join me tomorrow. And then one more thing I just kind of wanted to touch on a little bit. Some former Vikings players. So if you know, then you'll be like, okay, Jade, here you go again. But if you don't know, my second favorite team, after the Vikings are just completely out, they're done, okay, it's no more. My second favorite team is Bills Mafia, all the way, mainly because they have Case Keenum and Stephon Diggs. But they also have Leslie Frazier, former head coach for the Vikings. And then, they just added Xavier Rhodes, former Minnesota Vikings cornerback. So all of these Vikings players are now going over to Bills Mafia, and I have a feeling that Bills Mafia they have a very good chance, right, at winning the big game. So now watch all of these former Vikings players joining Bills Mafia, only to then win a ring with them. So it would just be so like typical Vikings fashion, wouldn't it? But anywho, so I just kind of wanted to mention that. It seems like Bills Mafia is becoming, as the days go on, more like former Minnesota Vikings all around. But just a little, maybe a fun fact there. So tomorrow, Vikings at London, England. But technically, they are the away team tomorrow at the Who Cares, New Orleans Stains, the New Orleans Saints. So can the skull hang? And you know what? Speaking of the Vikings too, they're Nordic, so you should be in, you closer to your origins at home, so it should feel more like a home environment, maybe, for the Vikings. And like I said too, it does seem like there is going to be a lot of purple in the stands. The Vikings fans, tried and true, I will say, just loyal to the end, it seems. Or, whatever. But I'm just rambling on now. So, again, I will give my official prediction tomorrow morning. But I'm very excited for the game. And it would be so nice to come back 3-1 for the Vikings. Oh, it would just be so nice, because then they play short week, and then they got the Bears. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So I don't want to get the cart before the horse. That is what the Vikings tend to do as well. But I don't think just because New Orleans is down all their people, I don't think that they can just be scoffed at. I think if the Vikings do just like, oh, it's no worry, it's not a bother, whatever, that could be a recipe for disaster for the Vikings. But I'm hoping it doesn't end that way as a Vikings fan. So here we go. All right. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Happy Skull Saturday, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope I see you tomorrow. Early one.